नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Text 29. Vatsan Munchan Kvachit Asamaye Krosha Sanjataha Saha Steyam Swadu Ati Atah दधिपयः कल्पितैः स्तेययोगैः मर्कान् भोक्ष्यन् विभजति सः चेत् न अति भाण्डं भिन्नति द्रव्य आलाभे सगृहकुपितः याति उपक्रोश्य तोकान् वत्सान् मुञ्चन् क्वचित् असमये क्रोशसञ्जातः स वत्सान् मुञ्चन् क्वचित् असमये क्रोशसञ्जातः स स्तेयं स्वाद्वति यतदतिपयकल्पितैस्तेययोगैः स्तेयं स्वाद्यतदतिपयकल्पितैस्तेयोगैः मर्कान् भोक्ष्यान् विभजति स चेन्नाति बन्धान् भिन्नति द्रव्यालाभे सगृहकुपितयात् उपक्रोश्यतोकान् वत्सान् मुञ्चन् क्वचिदसमये क्रोशसञ्जातः स स्तेयं स्वाद्यतदतिपयकल्पितैस्तेयोगैः मर्कान् भोक्ष्यन् विभजति स चेन्नाति बन्धान् भिन्नति द्रव्यालाभे सगृहकुपितयात् उपक्रोश्यतोकान् वत्सान् मुञ्चन् क्वचिदसमये क्रोशसञ्जातः स स्तेयं स्वाद्वति यतदतिपयकल्पितैस्तेययोगैः मर्कान् भोक्ष्यन् विभजति स चेन्नाति बण्डं भिन्नति द्रव्यालाभे सगृहकुपितयात् उपक्रोश्यतोकान् वत्सान्मुञ्चन् क्वचिदसमये क्रोशसञ्जातहासः अर्कान् भोक्ष्यन् विभजति स चेनातिबन्धां बिभ्नाति द्रव्यालाभे सगृहति वत्सान्मुञ्चन् क्वचिदसमये क्रोशसञ्जातहास तेयं स्वाद्यतकल्पितैस्तेयतो यो अर्कान् भोक्ष्यन् विभजति च चेनातिबन्धां बिभ्रति सान्मुञ्चं क्वचिदसमये क्रोशसञ्जातहास Vatsan, the calves, Munchan, releasing, Kvachit, sometimes, Asamaye, at odd times, Krosha Sanjata Hasa. After this, when the head of the house is angry, Krishna begins to smile. Steyam, obtained by stealing. Swadu, very tasteful. Atti, eats. Ata, thus. Dadipayah, pot of curd and milk. Kalpitaihi, devised. Steyayohaihi, by some sort of stealing process. Markan, to the monkeys. Bhokshyan, giving to eat. Vibhajati, divides their portion. Saha, the monkey. Ched, if. Na, not. Atti, eats. Bandam, the pot. Binnati, he breaks. Dravya alabhe, when the eatables are unavailable or he cannot find such pots. Sagraha kupitaha, he becomes angry at the residents of the house. Yati, he goes away. Upakroshya, irritating and pinching. Tokan, the small children. Translation and purport is given by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, founder Acharya of International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Translation: our dear friends, our dear friend Yashoda, your son sometimes comes to our houses before milking of the cows and releases the calves, and when the master of the house becomes angry, your son merely smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them, and when the monkeys have their bellies so full that they won't take more, he breaks he breaks the pot. Sometimes, if he gets no opportunity to steal butter or milk from a house, he will be angry at the householders, and for his revenge, he will agitate the small children by pinching them. Then, when the children begin crying, Krishna will go away. Purport: the narration of Krishna's naughty childhood activities would be presented to Mother Yashoda in the form of complaints. Sometimes Krishna would enter the house of a neighbor, and if he found no one there, he would release the calves before the time for the cows to be milked. The calves are actually supposed to be released when their mothers are milked, but Krishna would release them before that time, and naturally the calves would drink all the milk from their mothers. When the cowherdmen saw this, they would chase Krishna and try to catch him, saying, "Here is Krishna doing mischief," but he would flee and enter another house, where he would again devise some means to steal butter and curd. Then the cowherdman would again try to capture him, saying, here is the butter thief. Better capture him." And they would be angry, but Krishna would simply smile, and they would forget everything. Sometimes in their presence, he would begin eating the curd and butter. There was no need for Krishna to eat butter, since his belly was always full, but he would try to eat it, or else he would break the pots and distribute the contents to the monkeys. In this way, Krishna was always engaged in mischief making. If in any house he could not find any butter or curd to steal, he would go into a room and agitate the small children sleeping, thereby pinching them, and when they cried, he would go away. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swamimate Namine. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamimate Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Namaste Shunyavadi Pascharya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Verse. Vatsan munchan kvachit asamaye krosha sanjataha sa steyang swadvat yatadatipaya kalpitai steyayohai markan bhokshyan vibhajati sachen nati bandam binati dravyalabhe sagragakupitayat upakrosha tokan. Once again translation. Our dear friend Yashoda, your son sometimes comes to our houses before milking of the cows and releases the calves, and when the master of the house becomes angry, your son merely smiles. Sometimes he devises some process by which he steals palatable curd, butter, and milk, which he then eats and drinks. When the monkeys assemble, he divides it with them, And when the monkeys have their bellies so full that they won't take more, he breaks the pots. Sometimes, if he gets no opportunity to steal butter or milk from a house, he will be angry at the householders, and for his revenge, he will agitate the small children by pinching them. Then, when the children begin crying, Krishna will go away. Hare Krishna. So, we are continuing to hear from this Srimad Bhagavatam. In this 8th chapter, uh, now from previous verse, now Krishna, he performed so many pastimes in the land of Vrajabhumi. There, Krishna, like an ordinary child, he moves around the house. Then Krishna, when he little bit grows, then he performs some mischievous activities. And he, as from the translation, we can learn, so many mischievous activities that Krishna performs, like, releasing the cows before milking, and then he's stealing butter, and not only eating himself, he distributed it to the monkeys. And the gopis and gopas, by seeing this, naturally they will become angry, right? So, and then when he finds nowhere no milk or curd, he becomes angry. Krishna becomes angry, and then he pinches the small children. So these are all so many mischievous activities Krishna is performing. And seeing all these mischievous activities, the residents of Vrindavan, the gopis, they went to Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, and they are lodging the complaint about Krishna. Oh, your son, he's not proper. He's not behaving. He's not behaving properly. So he's doing so many atrocities like this. So from this verse, this in few verses, they are describing what are the activities that Krishna is performing. They are informing Yashoda as a complaint. And so here we can understand, what we should understand is that even, and then the one more point is that even though Krishna performs all these mischievous activities, because of Krishna's beauty and because of his naughty behavior, all these gopas and gopis, they started smiling when Krishna becomes angry or Krishna cries. By seeing that, they forgot all these mischievous activities and they start smile, because there is some rasa, right? Even if an ordinary child performs all these naughty activities, it will be irritating, but still it will be not so much irritating, because all these childish activities are so sweet. So even when an ordinary child performs all these activities, even ordinary parents, they also relish some pleasure in it. They also derive some pleasure in it. Similarly, all these gopas, even though they came to complain about him, they took some, they relish it. So, but why we are hearing this mischievous activities? When we say, oh, these are all like ordinary activities, even an ordinary child performs all these activities, then we should know, then what is the benefit of hearing Krishna's doing the same activity? The reason is that even in previous classes we heard that activities of Krishna, when we hear the activities of Krishna, that liberates us. Whereas when we hear about the activities of ordinary child or ordinary human being, that may not be an ordinary activity. It may be a very big activity, like politician, they do so many big activities. So many scholars, so many scientists, they produce so many inventions. So even to hear ordinary activity or it may be an extraordinary activity. But if it is a mundane activity by a mundane person, by an ordinary person, by hearing and then by thinking about it, by glorifying it, we are we will take repeated birth and death that will bind us to this material world. This is the difference between hearing the activities of Krishna and then hearing the activities of an ordinary person. This we should know. And then also Krishna mentions in Srimad Bhagavad Gita that all his activities, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yo Veti Tatvataha Tyaktva Deham Punarjanma Naiti Mameti Soarjuna. When we hear about Krishna, like he's taking birth or he's performing activities, his karma, his activities, when one understands all these activities to be transcendental, divyam, it's mentioned. All these are all not ordinary activities, these are all divyam, transcendental. When one understands this tattvadaha in truth, then punarjanma is not there. So when we understand Krishna as it is, when we understand Krishna properly in truth, then we don't have to take birth again. This is the important. And we can see from all these mischievous activities Krishna performs, and even in ordinary activities normal person does, in actually in perfect question perfect answer book, the question will be raised, why this Krishna performs all these activities, stealing the garments of gopis, like childhood activities. Why even Krishna also performs rascaldoms. Even he also performs all these things. And Prabhupada explains, if rascaldom is not there in Krishna, then how we will do? Even an ordinary person also steals, he also do so many nonsensical activities. But Prabhupada explains that if Krishna is the source of everything, correct? Janmadhyasya, from him everything comes. So, because in Krishna the stealing propensity, lying propensity, or getting anger, all these propensities are there in Krishna, so that we can see in here also. But Prabhupada explains that the difference is, here it's a perverted reflection. When Krishna does this, he is absolute, there is no sin. But when we perform all these activities, it is sinful. It is perverted reflection. We do for our enjoyment, but our position is to be a servant. So in that case, when we perform all this rascaldom, that is sin. But when Krishna, when absolute personality, he does, that is not sin. This we have to understand. That's why all these activities that Krishna performs, it is not mundane activity. It is in transcendental platform. So we should not imitate that. This we have to understand. And then in the purport also, Prabhupada explains that Janma Karma Chame Divyam, that purport. Prabhupada explains that one who understands Krishna in truth, they attains liberation. And Prabhupada mentions that getting liberation from this material world is not an easy task. Even the yogis, impersonalists, they meditate, they do so much endeavor to get liberation from this material world. But devotees, for them it's very easy. When they understand Krishna, they engage in devotional activities, and then they easily get liberated. So, how devotees know about Krishna? They know in truth. It's mentioned, Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam. Krishna has unlimited forms. He is one person, Advaitam. One person is infallible. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim. He has no source, no beginning. Anantarum, he has unlimited form, but still all are one. Same, one form. So Krishna, like this, devotees understand Krishna in this way. And then, because of this understanding, they easily get liberation. This we should understand. Actually, how by knowing that all these Krishna's activities are transcendental, they more and more they hear and chant about Krishna. It's mentioned that yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejatante kalevaram. When at the time of death, whatever thing he remembers, that form he gets in the next life. Devotees, they constantly chant and hear about the activities of Krishna. They remember Krishna. So whatever activity one performs throughout one's life, that will be, that will comes to our mind at the time of death. We cannot expect that whole and 24/7 whole life we engage in mundane activity, thinking about house, how to how to buy a car, how to buy land, house, big apartment. If one's whole life one constantly thinks about these things, then at the end of life it is not expected to think of Krishna. But devotees, when they hear about these transcendental activities of Krishna, at the end of life it's natural to remember Krishna's activity. So in that way they easily get liberated. So this we have to understand. And then this engagement also, this thinking of Krishna and all these things, it is not that these are all artificial things. This also we should understand. This is the natural activity. Jivere Surubhahe Krishna Nityadas. So our constitutional position is to be a servant of Krishna. So as a servant, we actually, for example, the servant's, the hand is there. So when the food is in the hand, it's, when we put the food in the mouth, naturally the hand gets the strength. So naturally, it's natural activity. So similarly, by engaging in Krishna's service, it's natural activity. So when we perform that natural activity, naturally we also derive pleasure. We also derive that nourishment. This we should understand. And then we should understand one more thing also, that not that devotees, they do machitta madgata prana, they are constantly engage in service of the Lord, and then they constantly think about, remembers Him. All these activities they don't do with an idea of getting liberation. This we should know. When we speak about devotees getting liberated easily in that way, we should not misunderstand that all these activities devotees are performing so that they can get liberated. They are not doing with that purpose. Not for the purpose of getting liberation, they do all these activities because they do it as an naturally. This we should understand, and we can understand from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayer: Nadanam, Najanam, Nasundarim, Kavitam va Jagadisha Kamaye, Mama Janmani Janmanishware. They don't, even devotees, they don't want liberation even. They want to naturally engage, always engage in the activities of Krishna. They want to engage in the devotional activities of Krishna. So devotees, as I mentioned, they relish pleasure by speaking about Krishna. Machitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kadayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramananti cha. They derive pleasure. Here also we can see all these gopis, they speak about Krishna. All the neighborhood boys, gopas and gopis, they come to hear the activities of Krishna and they relish it. So devotees relish pleasure in hearing about, in speaking about Krishna. And then this hearing about Krishna, for us, in the conditioned life, for us, this is the only way to get out of this material world. Shunmatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridayantasta Bhadrani Vidunati Sukut Satam. So we have so many anarthas in our heart. There are 6, it's mentioned that there are 6 enemies. One can, if we go and ask who is our enemy, the enemy is not our neighborhood, enemy is not our, for Indian, it's not that Pakistan is my enemy. No, not like that. Who are all our enemies? Our enemies is present within our heart. There are 6 enemies mentioned: Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Mada, Matsarya. Lust, anger, greed, illusion, madness, and envy. These 6 things are our enemies. And how to get rid of all these anarthas? How? It's mentioned Shunnatam Swakata Krishna. Simply by hearing about Krishna, it purifies our heart. Because, as I mentioned, because of all these bad qualities in our heart, we are in impure condition. But how we can become pure? By constantly hearing and chanting about the glories of the Lord. By constantly hearing, we will be convinced that we are not the enjoyers. We are eternal servant of. Our position is we are servant of Krishna, and naturally we will engage in devotional activities. And Prabhupada in another place mentioned that one more impurity. He's mentioning that identifying ourselves with the body. This is also our impure condition. Because of this false misconception, everyone identifies with this body, and then they try to satisfy the body. They work whole day. So misidentifying ourselves with this body, because of this basic misconception, we commit so many sinful activities. So we have to get rid of this condition, because unless we know that we are in impure condition, we will not try to pure ourselves. We should be convinced that we are in impure condition. Our present condition is a diseased condition, and then we have to work to get out from that, free ourselves from our impure condition. And we can see in this material world, even big scholars, Prabhupada many times mentioned that even Mahatma Gandhi, he even misidentifies, like I am an Indian, he is Britain, so we have to get independent. So even big scholars, big leaders, they are also under misconception. So, and also to free, as I mentioned, to free ourselves from this misconception, we have to constantly, that is no other process than hearing the message of Lord and hearing about the glories of the Lord. So, and we can see this simple thing, even the great leaders, they miss the point. They miss because of this misidentification, they don't know the purpose of life. Even the big leaders, they don't know what is the purpose of life because of this misconception. And understanding Krishna, regarding this, we were speaking that we have to understand Krishna in truth, so that we can get free ourselves from repeated birth and death. For that, Maharaj mentions that preaching is the easy way to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, Maharaj in one lecture mentions that how to get rid of all problems. We can get rid of all problems just by preaching the message of the Lord. This is also Maharaj mentions that it is an easy way to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and Maharaj mentions that it may be easy or difficult. We have to perform, because this is an emergency situation. So we have to preach this message of God. And Prabhupada also mentions in one incident, he will give sannyas to one devotee, and he will ask exactly. I don't remember exact content, but still the point is, he will ask one devotee, one sannyasi, to go outside to a foreign country and preach, and that sannyasi will tell, I don't know the language, how can I preach? And then Prabhupada mentions, no, even if you don't know the language, you can preach also. How? Because if somewhere fire is there, even though you do not know the language, somehow or other you will try to do something to off the fire. You will act something. So similarly, the language is not an impediment, so you can go and preach, like that Prabhupada will tell. So it may be easy or difficult. our duty. It's Maharaj mentioned that it is everyone's duty to preach the glories of the Lord. And also Prabhupada inspires everyone that one may say that, oh, I have this disqualification, I am not good in this, how can I preach? And Maharaj mentions that in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, you go and preach. It's mentioned when we engage in preaching activity, we are going for this marathon book distribution, we are going. And then Maharaj mentioned that when you are preaching at that moment, means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is always with you. So under his protection, you go and preach. You don't have to bother about anything. So just go, whatever you know, just try to preach. So also Maharaj mentions in that lecture that we come to Krishna consciousness because someone took trouble to bring us to Krishna consciousness. Someone cooks for us, someone drive for us. So many troubles someone took, so that we are in this position. So we also should not take only the easy path. It may be a difficult path also, but we have to take troubles so that we can preach Krishna consciousness. And then and what is the glories of this preaching? That is also in one lecture Maharaj mentions that when in Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 verse 11, in that purport Maharaj was giving lecture. In that Krishna will explain about this Dhyana Yoga system, how a yogi should see it, how he should meditate upon the Lord. He mentions about that. And in the purport, Prabhupada directly speaks about, in each and every purport, Prabhupada speaks about the devotional service only. And then Maharaj mentions that the author knows the purpose, So Prabhupada, as a devotee, he knows the mind of Krishna. So Krishna may give Dhyana Yoga process, but his intention is to come us to Bhakti Yoga. So author knows the purpose. So that's why Prabhupada is giving the purport only on Bhakti Yoga. And then in that class also Maharaj mentions that sometimes Prabhupada mentions that going out for book distribution or Sankirtan in one day, it's 1,000 times better than the yogis performing meditation, like that Maharaj mentions. So means Prabhupada mentions like that. It's going out for book distribution or Sankirtan, it's 1,000 times better than the yogis performing meditation. Then one may question, how it is possible? How we can define that? So Maharaj asks the questions and then answers that because this preaching activity pleases Krishna's more. That's why we have to engage in preaching activity, because the purpose is that it pleases Krishna more than any other activity. So taking this opportunity in book distribution marathon and throughout our life, Maharaj is mentioning that it's everyone's duty to preach. So somehow or other we should mold our life so that we should mold our life to preach this Krishna consciousness. So I'll stop here. So any questions or comments?
Yeah, just on your final point, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that one who preaches the message of Bhagavad Gita is very dear to him. There's no one more dear to him than he. So that's a fact. Yeah.
I just want to add a couple of things, specifically with this verse. Yesterday while I was preparing for the class, in this verse, Krishna speaks about, all the different kinds of pastimes that Krishna has performed, specifically as a child, his mischievous activities. So the acharyas are pointing out that Krishna is one of the things is that he was stealing the butter. So there is one pastime that is mentioned in Ananda Vrindavan Champu. While Krishna was once in the house, Mother Yashoda was looking for him, but then she found out that his hand got stuck. Krishna's hand was stuck in the butter pot. And Mother Yashoda was really angry. She said, "What are you doing?" And Krishna said that, "Actually, I have this ruby bangles. this ruby, from the ruby bangles, there is so much effulgence and it is creating some heat. And as a result of that, I need to cool down that. So I put my hand in the butter pot and I'm finding it difficult to take it out. So Mother Yashoda was very smart. She said, okay, I will help you. So she took Krishna out and then she removed the bangles and then she patted the hands and then she was kissing and then Krishna was very cool. So that was one incident mentioned. And another incident was once Krishna was just moving inside the house and Mother Yashoda was doing some work outside. Krishna went inside the house and then, there was one, it is mentioned that there was something like a golden pillar. So that Krishna could see his reflection and Krishna himself, he got fearful. So when Krishna was trying to steal the butter, he saw his own reflection and he was preaching that, hey, don't look at me, what are you doing? So he was angry, he was shouting. He's saying, my brother. So when Mother Yashoda came and then asked, what are you doing? He said, there is someone who is trying to come and then take the butter and I was trying to avoid. I was trying to protect that. So Mother Yashoda was completely stunned to see his mischievous activities. And another time, after she chastised him a couple of times, the next incident mentioned in Ananda Vrindavan Champu, it says that Krishna was simply acting like anything. Like you can see the small boys, they're rubbing the eyes, like tears flowing, and he was blabbering some words. And Mother Yashoda was actually angry when she saw Krishna performing these activities. And then she really cooled down and all the gopis and everybody started discussing about this. They are glorifying. Like we heard the verse yesterday that when they were churning the butter, they were glorifying this. There is one other small incident I remembered yesterday from reading. It was mentioned that that when Krishna, we have heard this. Krishna actually, when he went to the other man's house, other gopas and gopis' house and was stealing butter, and then they were complaining that why are you coming to our house and stealing this? He said that, what are you speaking? This is my house. This is my butter. I am the owner of everything. So like that, he was giving the logic that, he's, so like there's so many amazing pastimes. But we can see that Krishna is the supreme thief. When he does this activity, it is very nice. But when we does, it's abominable. Hare Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Prabhupada ki jai.